place of metal forgot to die. This is Here Lies Metal. Do portrait history and culture of everything metal. Once again, I am Maledictus, and
I'm Samantha.
And we shall be your overlords for today and all of eternity. Welcome to another episode of the Here Lies Metal Too Many Notes New Music Review. And what do we have to review today?
Today we are here to discuss the newest album by the band Gabestok.
Gabestok.
I think that's how we say it, which is a Metal Archives calls them a black metal band from Copenhagen, Denmark. This band features two members. We have I'm gonna say, I think it's a duh. Like
Do.
Duh.
This is zero. Is that a zero or no?
I tried to look up how to pronounce that. I think it's duh.
Duh.
On drums.
Duh.
And Fleetwood Asp
It's
on
like,
guitars and vocals.
it's a nice play on like Fleetwood Mac. It's
But it's
Fleetwood
a
Asp.
snake.
Yeah. What is
All right.
Fleetwood anyway? It's a Cadillac, I think. Anyway.
So this band has been around since 2015. This is their second album. I think they had an album in 2019, which I remember very distinctly because I missed it. I found it in 2020. I was like, this is cool as shit. And I missed it last year. So I put them on a list, and here they are delivering for me. And this was released April 15th on Strange Aeons Records. And the title of this album, which I haven't said yet, is in Danish.
How do we say
And
that?
we're not even attempting. So
We'll say it for it.
there you go. It means, I think, once rotten, always rotten, or something. We'll discuss the translations in a bit.
Maybe it has something to do with apples.
Okay. I also saw in Metal Archives they said they're part of something called the Corpsond Circle. I usually I take a dim view on black metalers organizing in circles.
This is all circles.
To congregate and put forward views.
Yeah,
but
you know what happened the last time they did that.
I tried to look into the Corpsond Circle. It seems to be mostly black metal punk, which makes me a little bit less critical of it.
Yeah.
And they seem fine. But if anyone has any dirt on the Corpsond Circle, I think it's just people, in Copenhagen.
But now it's time for the Here Lies Metal 5-point bi-directional classification scales, including categories genre loyalty, listenability, production style, musical complexity, and just plain fun. And please once again note that either side of the scale means good or bad. Let's get started.
All right, our first scale, the true scale. Are they true black metal? The answer is definitely no. We're giving this a 4.5, very high in the nonconformist category. Because while these guys, they certainly have like roots in black metal, but they clearly don't give a fuck about genre. They're not concerned about being true at all. They're doing whatever the fuck they want. For me, the most appropriate genre that strikes me as is metal punk, because there's a lot of very punky in just the feel and also like the drumming, but the riffs are often very doomy, and the whole album is extremely fuzzy. But it has a black metal vocal, but I would say sung in like a punk cadence. Except for that King Diamond homage, and it starts out.
Yeah, it kind of starts and ends with that.
Yeah, anyway. Yeah, it's a very awesome and exciting way to start an album, was with a King Diamond's scream.
Those are pretty accurately too.
Yes, it was very clear what he was doing. The king of Denmark.
That's
the expatriate king of Denmark.
Yes.
But yeah, the drums are usually pretty punk. A couple blast beat sections in the album, however, a couple straight up black metal sections, but they're very few and far between. And also putting this up on the scale is the synths. There's this organ synth on here, makes it a very horror feel, and I'm not even sure what genre that puts it in. Really, what did you think?
Yeah, these Danes seem to be inspired by some other great Danes, as you could hear, and perhaps other great black metal duos as well. I should not mention any names, but they also, I think, they borrow from what seems to be like all the extreme Franken genres that really created black metal to begin with. Because remember, for a certain period, there wasn't black metal. Black metal does not go back to the early days of metal. It came about like really in the late 80s and early 90s, as we know it, as real black metal. But I was hoping, speaking of that King Diamond voice, I was hoping, he would go on with the King Diamond thing the whole way when it started. Yeah, I think everyone's like, oh yeah, he's gonna sound like King Diamond.
I do like the black metal vocal, but I was excited for a lot of King Diamond.
Like if they're Danish, he's not gonna do the black metal thing. He's gonna do like the King Diamond thing. But no one really does that, do they? No one really channels King Diamond, do they?
I mean, it's a
days.
tough. If you try and fail at that, it's bad.
Yeah, you're gonna be pretty bad. But this guy could do it, so maybe some King Diamond worship. It's always Slayer worship, maybe some King Diamond worship. Anyway, but it really goes from this album really goes from like that King Diamond sort of new wave British heavy metal sound immediately to like a fuzz laden doom sound. Then to like hardcore beats. And then to his demon-esque black metal vocals, which he keeps for really most of the songs. And this all it's very dynamic. So this all changes within a span of a few minutes. Since the songs aren't really long, so you're kind of just changing, the sounds really quickly. It's very, very dynamic. That's why they can't be. That's why they can't be true in any way. Because where are they? So yeah. But even though they preserve a more. They preserve a more friendly black metal era sound rather than more of a really harsh, demonic one. But this wide dynamic range is it really can't hold them in that genre. So it's very all over the place in a good way. So,
but it doesn't feel like a mishmash of genres. They have like an aesthetic here. Like they've blended all the stuff together, and it sounds very organic, I would say.
Yeah. It's very grounded.
They've created their own sound, and they're very true to that sound. And the whole album is very cohesive, tied together with all that fuzz. It's hard to compare them to any other bands. If you like these, or if you're familiar with the band Hexenbrett, which we reviewed last year, awesome album. You definitely would like these guys. All right, our second scale, the terror scale. I had a little trouble placing this on the scale, knowing where it should go, really. And what I chose was a bit in the middle, on the side of distorted pop, not even in the terror end for black metal. What did you think?
We have to put this in the middle. I have to totally agree with that. His voice mostly stays black metal, like I said before, but and yes, production is skillfully recorded on a rather high end Fisher Price mic, though not like the But but the riffs, and beats, are not always set to kill, but occasionally they're set to thrill. And it gets a bit danceable sometimes. It's not all just trying to terrorize you with harsh black metal riffs and black metal vocals. And there's that synth organ too, which we'll talk about more in a bit.
Yeah. It's just not very heavy. Like you mentioned, it's fun black metal, so it doesn't have that oppression.
Yes, it's not oppressive.
So like black metal is not extremely heavy music, but it is like oppressive music. Yeah. This is not oppressive. This is bouncy black metal.
Yeah, black metal is more like fast and chaotic. They can't really get heavy because of the recording style. I don't think they can really get a heavy sound out of that. Yeah.
But it is still menacing. A lot of it, like that organ, is menacing a lot of the times, and the vocal is a scary vocal. And the production's a little bit low, which kind of keeps it out of the easy listening area. But also, it's a very dynamic album, and that makes it very listenable. It's got a lot of melodic, catchy elements, and it's engaging. Songs sound different. It's not boring. It's a nice time. So, I don't know. You'll have to just try that out on yourself and see how listenable it is, I think. All right, next scale, the production scale. I've already talked about this a little. We're going pretty low here, very close to total Fisher Price. Very, very fuzzy, very difficult to hear when the whole band is going. Every element just becomes one kind of big fuzzy mess. I can barely even hear the drums sometimes. As real
black metal should be.
All right, break it down.
They kept it pretty doom and dirty with their use of fuzz rather than some kind of like HM2 or even better a metal zone. That'd be awesome. It sets an appropriate tone for this kind of music. I mean it's authentic and genuine. I mean try to envision this kind of record, this kind of music being recorded in the studio like that, like Behemoth records in or something, that level of whatever you want to call it music. Like that just wouldn't work. It would just sound funny, wouldn't it?
I think it would lose a lot of its character. It would sound totally different.
It loses character. It's like putting like some small band on a really big stage and they're kind of lost up there. It's the same thing, And it wouldn't work, but on that note, it's not totally necro. They didn't like total, because like the total Necro Fisher Price sound.
It doesn't sound like shit by any
Yes,
means.
there's some black metal bands that purposely want it to sound as possibly bad as can be made. And we're not there with this. But it's grounded and homegrown. That's the sound I like. It's clearly done, in a home studio, I would imagine. And all instruments, the instruments are very noisy, but they're visible within the visible light bandwidth of the sonic spectrum, which I like to call the mid range. Picture the light spectrum, and in the middle there's visible light. You could see it. That's that's where the mid range is in the sonic spectrum. You could hear it. So. And with some, it's got some weight in the low end too, and they get that fuzz going, very doomy. It definitely kind of punches a little bit, so they got those frequencies pretty well covered too. Which is, there's not a lot of high end in it. It's very bottom heavy, mids and bottoms. So that makes it's a dark sound. That gives you for a dark sound. It's not a bright sound, and that makes those stomping, doomy riffs kind of stand out, which works. As you said, for the drums being drowned out, by the guitars, they're just keeping it real. That's what you're supposed to do. That's how it's supposed to sound, I'm curious how they recorded the drums. The drums are most likely real, like or 99.999% probably real, since they have a drummer, So, we can't have defined drums in this kind of music. It doesn't work. And then you got that organ too, that synth organ. And I want to know, contacting the band if possible, if you're listening, is that a real synth or a VST synth? Comment down below. And and of course this band is a 2-person band, which is really, when you really think about it, that's as many people as you need in a band to record a home album. One is one thing, but 2 is like better, because you got like a drummer now that could track at the same time as you. So 2 is all you need to make a band. I think it's the ideal number. You don't have to deal with any more egos after that. So
all right, our next scale, the note scale. I don't know. Some notes. What do you think?
Numerically, we have a lot of notes, but where this goes next.
It's so fuzzy, like it's hard to tell where one note ends.
True. It's a lot of.
It's hard to count the notes.
In there,
but we're giving it a pretty low score on the note in the low notes category.
Yeah,
the enough notes.
It's not that complicated.
What did you think?
There's a lot of notes, but it's the quantity of notes rather than the quality of notes. It's mostly the same notes played in a black metal type of scale very quickly. And they have that synth organ and synth vox kind of thing going, accompaniment, kind of like that haunted house kind of sound, accompanying the music often in many songs. That might add to the note count a little bit. That tends to bring it up a little bit, I would say. But otherwise, they're keeping genuine to the many genres they're wearing here. And these songs are pretty simple and enjoyable. And, as black metal intended from the beginning, it's never meant to be where, some black metal bands are doing now. This is authentic and genuine.
Okay. Our final scale, the fun scale. This is a very fun album. We're giving this a basically all the way fun score. It's rollicking. It's chaotic good time. Punky parts to the horror elements. This is not serious black metal, as we've mentioned before, and I love black metal that's not serious. And it's we keep mentioning the horror elements, but it's like that horror, that like cheesy, silly sounding horror of like old films. It's not going for like some kind of actually trying to frighten you horror. It's like evoking more of an atmosphere of like the silliness.
Yeah, well, I think when they made those horror movies, they thought they were scary, but back then.
Do you think so?
Yeah, like when those funny organs, but that was probably scary at the time.
I think we're viewing it through a modern lens.
which
we have no idea what they're singing about.
No, it's in Dansk.
So I did run the song titles through Google Translate, as I like to do. Always reliable Google Translate. The album title does mean once rotten, always run.
Apples.
And the only other thing that stood out to me was I liked this one song that translated to "I will die in my nest."
That means I'll die at home, maybe, because maybe that translates to like.
I will die in my nest.
It doesn't, maybe it doesn't translate. like
I'm sure it's not translated.
yeah, that's the
correctly.
thing. Like it's like when you listen to Rammstein and then you hear that sometimes they'll do the Rammstein song
I just
in
like the idea of a song called "I Will Die
yeah.
in My Nest."
Yeah, but it's just they should be like in English. It should be, but it might not mean that in English. It might be some
Yeah.
colloquial thing.
Obviously, we've
But
got a disclaimer on my translation.
yes, because you can't. That doesn't really work. But like I said before, think of Rammstein when they translate a Rammstein song into English. It sounds silly because the Rammstein songs are meant to be in German. Anyway, it doesn't translate. So it wasn't meant for us. It wasn't meant to be sped in English. And honestly, it's difficult for me to accept any black metal. It's always been difficult for me to take black metal like seriously in 2021, even though like a lot of black metal bands are totally serious. I'm just I can't. I just can't. And so this obviously has to be fun. But if you're exploring so many great roots of black metal, and you have to be having a good time with this rather than
I mean, there's a lot of people who don't have a good time with black metal.
but
These guys are having a good time.
But when I see these like serious, like these really high budget series, black, these behemoths and whatever, I'm like I can't.
Well, that's in a totally other universe.
Yeah, that is a totally other
It's
universe.
basically not related at all.
Yeah, they're from the same roots, I would say, but that's just as much as it goes. But those guys are obviously serious. And it just makes me laugh. So but yeah, there's no need to burn any churches or stab your friends. Okay, that's old.
This is not old.
That's not saying it's played. It's kind of played out, I think.
The cover art is by Morten Damsgaard, who I think works on a number of albums for the Corpson Circle. So he's a Copenhagen.
Okay, they all keep together
artist.
with that, wherever that is. Comment down below.
I think they're just a creative group.
All right. Well, you guys comment down below and explain that more because we can't really find a solid answer on that. So, what is
I like this cover.
This is a very different album cover than we're used to. It's ironic. I think this is having fun right here. It's written in kind of like almost like some 70s
very,
kind of
stylized script.
Yeah, like it's supposed to be like it's a happy garden.
I love their logo.
Do we know what this means?
I mean, I told you already. It means once rotten, always rotten.
Right. Okay, yes.
But here we are in this beautiful field, but something is rotten about this field.
Yeah, it's like a field of flowers. I mean, it almost looks like somebody's garden, but a very unkept garden. They just kind of let the flowers grow about.
Well, it's like one of those modern gardens.
Yeah, I don't like
that meme where like, why does your lawn still look like this?
Yeah.
Have you seen that meme?
Yes.
So that's like what the lawn should look like.
I wouldn't like a garden like that. I would like a neat garden.
It's because you're a boomer.
No, I just would like to, because I live with neighbors and they have nice gardens. I have to conform to them to keep the property value up.
I like their logo. There's a guy in a stock in the logo.
Where is he? Oh, yeah. Oh, there, right there. Yeah, there he is.
So I guess stock means stock.
Well, yeah, maybe it's like you put the witches in there, right? Or or just the criminal, whatever. You don't like the guy in town. He's a village drunk or something. You put him in the stocks, right?
But yes,
he's an upside down cross too.
This is a very striking cover. I like the colors on it a lot.
It's very subdued.
I think this
but colorful.
Very accurately, puts you in the mood for what you're going to get from this album, which is a very different experience of black metal than normal. Yeah, and I also like when the translation of the once rotten, always rotten. Makes you think there's like a bunch of corpses underneath those flowers or something.
I was thinking it has something to do with the vegetation, really. I was thinking of corpses under here, unless, what is this? Are these crosses?
Well, you have to know the translation.
Yeah, you would have
otherwise
to
you wouldn't really think.
It might be like a saying in Danish. Dance
crosses. Is this a cemetery?
Are these crosses over here? Like I can't.
I don't know.
Yeah, I can't. Maybe this is like an overgrown cemetery. I don't know. Comment down below, guys, if you, because it's just like a picture. It's like it's a random picture that was found on someone's camera. It almost like could be. It's not like some complicated, innate drawing of like a lot of these metal bands have these. A lot of the covers we've done previously have been these very detailed drawings of like skulls and demons and dead
is
things.
very different.
And yeah,
and I enjoy it a lot.
Yeah, it works with this album, but yeah, I see some sort of like graves over here, but they're not very in the foreground.
I was right. Then there's corpses.
Yeah, possibly. That's what they mean. It's once rotten, it's always rotten. Maybe there's something rotten in the state of Denmark. right? Is it Shakespearean? I don't know. I don't find any other evidence of that, but maybe it's a saying in Denmark. Maybe
That's from Shakespeare.
Yes.
That's from Hamlet.
Yes, from Hamlet. So maybe like has something to do with that, but I'm not like I'm not seeing that in any other titles, or not that I would be able to.
No, I don't think
read it
there's
anyway.
a Hamlet theme.
Okay.
I think they're allowed to use the word rotten in Denmark without referencing
anytime
Hamlet.
you think, you just think, rotten Denmark. Ah.
Okay.
So.
Closing thoughts.
Yeah.
I don't know. This album is great. I always love finding people doing weird black metal. I find us talking about black metal a lot, but I don't really like true black metal. This is what I like, and this is what I want for the future of black metal. I don't want post black metal. I don't want the black metal shoegaze. This is what I want.
Black metal shoegaze, a lot of shoegazing going on.
This is what I want for black metal.
Yeah, this is. I want this for like a lot of metal. I want metal to just go back down to the roots like this. I want this soft.
When you say the roots, though, this is not.
I mean, sound wise, yeah. I don't mean like roots, like evolutionary. Like I mean, just like recording wise,
production.
I just like when the people are making albums as opposed to the record labels. The people. I like when the people make albums, because the people can make albums, and the people have the things available to them to make great albums. It's been done, and these guys, despite the maybe a little bit fuzzy drums there, it's all good. So, there it is, folks.
All right. Gabestok's second album, En Gang Rådden, Altid rådden. All right, I tried to say it.
Yeah, that's. You guys could say it better. Send us a thing of you guys saying.
Check it out for a good time.
Yes. So thanks again for listening to the Too Many Notes New Music review. And make sure to follow us on our social media things, right? Which we post on sometimes. Twitter, Here Lies Metal. Facebook, Here Lies Metal. Instagram, Metal Lies Here. And give me a shot. Shoot me an email if you don't like something. HereLiesMetal@gmail.com. Thank you, everybody. And hit that subscribe button, and hit the thumbs up button, I guess. And, hit the bell so you know whenever our new videos comes out, which is somewhat often. So with that, we'll see you next time.